Most Americans don't expect to feel confused in Europe. It looks familiar. It feels Western. It seems easy to navigate. But after a few days, many travelers notice something subtle. Not a rule, not a restriction, a habit, small behaviors, daily routines, unspoken expectations. Things no one explains, but everyone follows. And when you don't know them, you feel slightly out of place. These are 7 European habits that quietly confuse American travelers and why they matter more than you think. Habit 1, not checking on you constantly in restaurants. In the United States, service often means presence. Servers check in frequently. They refill drinks automatically. They ask if everything tastes good. In much of Europe, once your food arrives, you are left alone. Not ignored, not forgotten, left alone on purpose. For example, you're sitting in a restaurant in Italy. Your plate is empty. Your glass is empty. No one approaches. 10 minutes pass. To an American, this feels like bad service. But in Europe, interrupting a conversation is considered intrusive. The assumption is simple. If you need something, you will ask. Local tip. Make eye contact. Raise your hand slightly. Say, "Excuse me." That small shift changes everything. Habit 2, sitting for hours without pressure. In the US, restaurants turn tables quickly. There is a rhythm. You order, you eat, you leave. In Europe, especially in the evening, meals stretch. For example, in Spain, dinner may begin at 9 p.m. At 11 p.m., families are still talking. No one is rushing them. In France, a cafe table can be occupied for an hour with just one coffee. No one brings the check. No one signals that you should leave. To Americans, this can feel inefficient. But here, time is part of the experience. Local tip. When planning your day, don't stack activities too tightly. European evenings move slower than you expect. Habit 3, using cash more than expected. Europe feels modern, but in many places, cash still plays a role. For example, in Germany, a small bakery might not accept cards. In Austria, some mountain huts are cash only. In Italy, small family cafés prefer cash for small bills. Americans are used to tapping everywhere. When a sign says cash only, it feels outdated. But often it's about transaction fees or simplicity. Local tip. Carry a small amount of local currency, not a large sum, just enough to avoid inconvenience. Habit 4, walking as default transportation. In many American cities, driving is the default. In Europe, walking is normal. For example, in Prague or Rome, the distance from your hotel to the old town might look short on a map, but between cobblestones, stairs, and pedestrian zones, it becomes a 20-minute walk. And locals don't think twice. They walk to the train, to the market, to dinner. This surprises many Americans who underestimate daily movement. Local tip, assume you'll walk at least twice as much as you plan. Comfortable shoes are not optional. Habit 5, quiet public spaces. Public spaces in Europe often feel calmer, especially on trains. For example, on a regional train in Switzerland or Germany, most passengers sit quietly. Phones are on silent. Conversations are low. If someone takes a loud phone call, heads turn. No one says anything, but the reaction is visible. Americans sometimes realize they are louder than they thought. Not intentionally, just culturally different. Local tip. Lower your speaking volume slightly in public transport. You'll blend in immediately. Habit 6, reserve social energy. In the US, friendliness starts fast. Strangers smile. Small talk begins easily. In Europe, interaction builds more slowly. For example, in a small shop in Sweden or the Netherlands, the cashier may greet you politely, but without enthusiasm. No extended small talk, no personal questions. To an American, this can feel cold. But here, emotional warmth is reserved for real familiarity. It's not rejection, it's cultural distance. Local tip. Respond politely, but don't force friendliness. Comfort develops over time. Habit 7, quiet rule following. In many European cities, systems operate on trust. For example, in Vienna or Berlin, you can board public transport without passing through a gate. No barrier, no visible control. But ticket inspections happen randomly, and fines are immediate. Locals validate tickets automatically. They queue naturally. They wait at pedestrian crossings, even when no cars are coming. To Americans, this sometimes feels strict, but it keeps public life predictable. Local tip: observe before acting. When you mirror local behavior, everything feels smoother. None of these habits are dramatic, but together they shape how daily life feels in Europe. When Americans understand them, confusion turns into comfort. Interactions become smoother. Experiences feel more natural, not because Europe changed, but because you adjusted your expectations. If you want to understand Europe before you arrive, subscribe. New videos every week explaining how Europe actually works from a local perspective. I'll see you in the next one.